I had an oh crap moment, literally. Hey sitters, welcome back to another video. It is Lydia, thanks for joining me. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you guys a couple stories on how I fired a couple of my clients. And as a babysitter, it's typically unheard of to fire a client. We tend to look at babysitting gigs and jobs as I need to take this job so my clientele will grow, or I need to take this job because I need the money. I just want to be out there babysitting and I don't really care, or I don't really want to worry about being disrespected, or I'll take the job and being disrespected over losing the job. But I'm here to tell you can fill that slot easily. There's a lot of need out there. I feel like a broken record because I've said this in a lot of my videos, but you don't always need to take the job. You can say no. You have the power to say no. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you those couple stories and let you know how it went and how I went about firing those clients. So the first client I fired was several years back. It was when I was getting started. It was a client I found through, or they found me through a mutual friend. And she was a single mom with two twin boys around the ages of, I want to say it was like 1.5 or 2 years old. And I met the family before, working for them. I do what I preach to you guys of meeting the family. Everything went great. The kids were funny. It seemed like a great match. So I went ahead and started babysitting for them. The first 2 or 3 times, everything went smoothly. But there were some things that I just thought, you know how you go through something and then you're like, you make up excuses for them because you're like, I don't understand it completely, so I'll just make up this excuse. That's what I did the first couple times in this job. So I usually would get there. They were mostly night gigs, but I would get there and the mom was like, okay, so this is what dinner looks like. This is like, I would do dinner, bath, bed. So she walked me through the steps, and then she said she needed to finish getting ready and went to her room and locked the door, which is okay if she needs to make sure the boys don't interrupt her or whatnot. And every time she went in there, I would start smelling weed coming from her room, which, okay, do what you will in your personal time. I'm not judging that piece of it, but it was just weird to me that it was while I was there and right before she was leaving the house. So again, I would just be like, it's fine, it's whatever. But that's not what made me fire her. After 2 or 3 times working for her, I approached her and thinking, so her twin boys were not in diapers. She would put them in underwear. No diapers to be found in the household except for pull-ups that were used for nap time. And I assumed, my bad, I assumed that they were potty training. And I didn't realize that they were not actively potty training. So usually, this is where I learned my lesson, right? Usually, because of this, when somebody says they're not in diapers, they are in underwear, I ask them, are you actively potty training? Do I need to remind them to go to the bathroom? Are they good about going to the bathroom on their own? When they are actively potty training, I ask about, okay, what methods are you using? Are you using a sticker chart? Some families use M&Ms as rewards after they go potty. So I asked her eventually, I was like, hey, I noticed that they're in underwear. They've had a couple accidents. What methods or what words can I use with them to get them to go potty and not have accidents in their pants? Because I was dealing with it a lot. And she then told me that they were not actively potty training. And I was speechless. I'm like, so you're telling me your boys are not in diapers, they're in underwear, but they're not potty training. Why are we not putting them in diapers? That's what a diaper is for, is to catch the mess. And her answer was that the boys did not like to wear diapers. I had an oh crap moment, literally. It was so surprising to me that she was okay with cleaning that mess, rather than just dealing with a diaper or dealing with them being upset for a little bit while they were in diapers. So that was a huge piece of what made me really want to walk away. But then the one little boy started getting really aggressive. He ended up um, just getting really physical with both me and his brother, and it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe for me anymore. I would be cooking dinner and things would just get out of hand. These are things I brought to her attention. It wasn't like I just quit on the whim. I brought to her attention that I can work with her on potty training or um, with the aggression, that things needed to happen. If there was a method that we could try to cut out the aggression, it just, I brought multiple things to her and she shot them down and she didn't want to work on anything, which I guess if everything was fine with her and how she was handling things and she was okay with cleaning up those messes, I could see why she didn't want me to change anything when I'm only there 4 hours a week, you know? So, but again, things are not going well. The aggression, the mess. I ended up getting really sick from handling their feces one time. And mind you, I cleaned and washed and did everything I could and was very cautious because I knew that it was disgusting and I could get sick. But I ended up getting very sick, which ended up putting me out of other jobs that I could have been doing. And I brought that to her, and she didn't seem very concerned. So I ended up just saying, like, I am no longer able to offer you my services. I can no longer work under these conditions. I was hoping things would change. I really enjoy you and your family, but unfortunately, I can no longer help you guys. So that kind of was the first client that I ever fired, that I went to and said, I can no longer help you. So the second family I ended up having to fire was actually my first ever nanny family. They had 2 kids, and I had been babysitting for them since their first was really little. And I loved them. They were a great family, and we meshed well. We mended well. The little girl loved me, but then they had their second. She was on maternity leave and then came to me and asked if I was willing to become their nanny. And as my first nannying gig, I didn't know all what goes into nannying. And I don't think they had a nanny. Well, I know they didn't have a nanny before that, so they didn't really know. So we didn't talk about expectations. We didn't talk about what they're looking for, how long I was going to do this. None of it. I just kind of was like, yep, let's do it. I jumped in and without doing any research. But they were in the neighborhood, so I thought I was working in the neighborhood, and then I was informed that it was outside of the neighborhood at her mom's house. They were going to not be living at their house for the time being, and they were going to live with their mom for a little bit. And their mom's house was a drive. It was about 45 minutes with traffic. And my hours were 7:30 to 4:30, so I was in traffic all the way getting there, and I was in traffic all the way leaving. So that was just a little piece of what added to why I walked away, but it wasn't a big issue. So I started for them during the summer, so I had both kids, and then at the time, the cousin of the kids was also in town staying with the grandma for the summer. So I had like a mother's helper. She was 9 or 10 years old, and I was working with at the time, I think he was 5 months or 6 months and 2 years old. So the summer was going great. The beginning of the summer was awesome. Also, it's important to note that the grandma also was retired, so she was at the house all the time, but she wasn't physically able to care for the kids. So that was the reason I was hired. But she joined us for lunch sometimes. She would pop in and say hello to the kids. So she was there as well. But the summer was going great. And then towards the end of summer was when things started to take a little turn, and by me and the cousin, started to feel micromanaged by the grandma. We were told to do this and do that, or you're not doing this right, or you're not doing that right. And she also was starting to get very irritated that the kids were making messes and the kids were getting into things. The house wasn't baby proofed. She put sheets over the couches because she didn't want them on the couches. So by the end of the summer, the cousin and the 2-year-old were going to school. So the cousin flew back home to she was in from out of state, so she flew back home and went to school, and the 2-year-old was went to school as well. So it was just me and the little boy, and then the grandma in the house as well. And things got even worse. She was very irritated all the time, and she was telling me that I wasn't doing things correctly. I was being really micromanaged on what I should be doing, when I should be doing it, how I should be doing it. But she did not agree with a lot of things that I was doing, which wasn't wrong. It was just a different way of doing things. And I do want to say that her irritation may have been, some of her irritation probably was because she was not used to having kids in the house 24/7, 7 days a week. And them getting into things and them messing things up or getting things messy must have been irritating. I don't blame her for that. But a lot of that was let out on me. I think she thought it was my fault that they were getting into things, and it wasn't like I was just letting them run the house. But kids are kids, and toys end up getting spread everywhere. And so I know that had to have been a little bit of the issue. But the mom was great. The mom of the little boy was great. I called her up and we talked about it, and I talked to her. I said, I need you to talk to your mom about just taking a step back and letting me do my thing. And we talked about it. And she knew her mom was becoming overbearing, and she talked to her mom multiple times, but nothing really changed. So I did end up putting my 2 weeks in, and I called her and we talked about just how her mom and I are not on the same page about how her son should be cared for, and she completely understood and was basically saying that they're going to try to get him into a daycare anyways, and they'll try and find somebody. She was fully understanding, and things went well. That conversation went very well, so to say. But yeah, so that I just was starting to feel miserable every time I was going into work. I mean, I had to sit in traffic, and then I got to work and I was being micromanaged, and then I had to get home and I was in traffic, and I was tired mentally. So another family that I had to fire was another nanny family of mine, and things are going really well. I worked for this family for a little bit before they put their son into daycare. They pulled their son back out of daycare for the pandemic, and I was their nanny during that time. Things are going really well for the first 9 months, and then things started going downhill from there. They were disrespecting me. The son was great. Had nothing to do with him, nothing to do with their parenting styles, but they were just disrespecting me. And it started to feel like they weren't trusting me anymore. They were micromanaging me. They were undermining every decision I was making. And things just weren't going well. So I ended up putting in a month's notice, which I felt was plenty of time for them to find somebody. And they disrespected me a little more and then let me go the next day. So that one, again, you don't want to go. I ended up being very miserable going to work every day. And I don't like living like that. It's just not fun. I got nervous every time I had to go in. I got nervous when they came home and I had to give them an update on how things went that day. And it was just miserable. I wasn't the same person I used to be. My parents started noticing I was different. My personality wasn't the same. I was tired more than anything. I think mentally I was tired. I was over it. So I had to walk away from that family as well. Moral of the story, I just think that you should not have to be miserable going into your job. In any job, in any job that you do, I don't think you should be miserable going into it and having to work in those conditions. I mean, it wasn't the children, it was the working conditions that made me walk away. Like the family who didn't put their kids into diapers. That is putting my health at risk. And I can't go into a work like that and then go and work for another family. Like, it was everywhere. It was smeared everywhere. I got very sick from that. And when you bring things to the family's attention and you talk to them about it and things don't change, That is what's the issue. In every one of these, um, families that I had to walk away from, I came to them before actually walking away. I came to said, this is what I'm feeling. These are the issues that I'm seeing. Um, I'd like to work with you guys on this or that. And I gave them time after that to change these things. And none of them changed that. And I understand, I get it in a way, because if that is working for them in their home life, there's no reason to change it for me. Which is sad to say, because some of those families, well, 2 out of 3 of them I worked for 40 hours a week for. So that is huge. That I am there the most of the time. But for them, it was like easier because that's what was best for them on the weekends, or that was best for them what was in the afternoons, or none of those things affected them, so why change it? Um, and you don't want to burn bridges when you're walking away from these families. In each of these cases, I tried my best, my very best, to still like leave on good terms, in a sense. And some families that worked, some families that didn't. It just wasn't going to work out, and that's okay. You try your best. You try to leave on good terms. But if that's not the case, that's fine. And you walk away, and you find families who do appreciate you, who do work with you, and are willing to take constructive criticism. Wow, constructive criticism, and work with you on it. A lot of my clients ask me now that they know that I don't put up with a lot of this. A lot of my clients ask, how were they tonight? Don't lie to me. Let me know straightforward. What can we work on? And in most cases, it's like, nothing. Tonight was great. Things went well. And I do tell them, I will tell you, I will be very forward with you about what happened. A couple of my clients I've told, hey, this is what happened tonight. I don't know if it was just a fluke or if that is what's going on. Some of these families I don't see for weeks. So maybe I throw in there that, hey, it may just be a phase that they're in, or I don't know, something might be going on at school. But I do bring it to their attention. Those who I see weekly, my regulars, I make sure that I'm very honest with them. Hey, this is what happened this week. Let's hope that things are changed by next week. But if not, let's talk about it a little deeper. What can we do? What can I do to help you guys change this behavior? And most of them are really receptive to that and really want to know and help work with that. So again, do not suffer through a job just because you feel you have to take the job. You should be happy working in your conditions. The kids should be happy, and you should be wanting to go back. You should be excited to go back to these jobs. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.